Welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show, where we help top leaders find their pathway to incredible success and a lifetime of happiness. Here is your host, Tom Dutta, the Quiet Warrior.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show. Tom Dutta, like butter. You are in for a treat today. We have two guests on the show. They're in the green room right now, and we're doing a live behind-the-scenes look at a new film that's coming to Canada and around the world. Let me just read you a few things, and then I'll bring our guests on the screen. We have a special episode. This bridges generations and uncovers a powerful chapter of history that has remained hidden for far too long. Before I bring our guests on, let me introduce who they are to you, everyone. Joining us from New Zealand is Rajendra Prasad. He is originally from Fiji, a descendant of Indian indentured laborers who migrated to New Zealand after the 1987 military coup. He's the author of two highly acclaimed books on Fijian history, including Tears in Paradise, and I have the book in my studio. I'll hold it up later. And that forms the foundation of today's discussion. The powerful narrative documentary film Girmit, The Fields of Sadness, is based on his book, which reveals the long-buried stories of brutality and exploitation endured by indentured laborers under the colonial system. Rajendra wrote and produced this documentary film that we're going to be looking behind with his wife, Aruna Prasad. And joining also, he's right now in Fiji. They're doing screenings of the film there. It's a pleasure to tell you about Shyam Upadhyay, an accomplished Indo-Kiwi filmmaker whose work is being received internationally recognition. Shyam directed Girmit, The Fields of Sadness. Tashu Films is the film company. And it's already premiered in Auckland, New Zealand. It's been nominated in the 8th Nepal International Film Festival this year, where it's received prestigious nomination. Shyam brings extensive experience in filmmaking across India and New Zealand, having worked as an associate director, line producer, and on award-winning projects, including the national award-winning Indian film Putani Party. The conversation we're going to have here today is meaningful to me because my great-grandfather, I just discovered March this year, was indeed a Girmitiya, and you'll be able to understand what that means. He was indeed from India on a ship to go to Fiji and work on the plantations as an indentured laborer. He's known today, he was known in Fiji as Lali Maraj. We're going to go behind the scenes with this remarkable documentary film that chronicles not only the experiences of the indentured laborers, the Girmitiyas, who were transported from India to Fiji between 1879 and 1920. The 87-minute film was completed in 2024, and it's now in global screenings across multiple nations and will be right here in Canada in October 2025, the first Canadian premiere. It is a narrative documentary film, and I am the promoter of the event and also the host of the show, as you know, the Quiet Warrior Show. So now I'd like to bring our guests onto the screen. Welcome, Rajendra, to the show, and Shyam. Good to have you here, both of you.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure. So now let me just explain something about what we're going to be doing with
Thanks,
the interview
Tom.
today.
It's our
You're
pleasure
welcome.
to be here.
Yeah, it's nice. You're in Fiji, right? Yeah, you're currently in Fiji, right, Shyam? Yeah, I think he's there with the film screenings.
Yeah, I'm in Fiji right now, and
Yeah.
basically the where I'm staying right now, so my connectivity is not very good here. So
Yeah.
I'm getting lots of problem with my network, and
Okay, we're going to
so
do our
that's why
best.
I'm getting your voice and
Okay.
your picture
All right.
is a bit late.
Well, the power of the internet, everybody. And again, we're in multiple nations. But Shyam, we'll just work with the best we can, okay? Don't worry. If you drop off, you can come back. We're doing live, so this can all be fixed up later, okay? So we'll do our best. What I'd like
Still,
to
it's
do
very,
now,
very, it's a
yeah, I think you're having trouble with your sound, but we'll do our best. What I'd like to do now is I will put on the screen, I'm going to share the trailer of the movie, the film trailer, We're going to watch that, and then we're going to talk about that for a minute, okay? So let me just put that on the screen here so we can watch it together. Okay. So everyone, what you're seeing here is you're seeing a website. This is reclaimgirmit.ca, reclaimgirmit.ca. This is where you'll go to get all information about the Canadian premiere. We'll also be putting more information on this website. I'm going to now scroll down on there. You can see the front of the page to this page here, which is actually the film trailer. And so what we're going to do is hit play. It's about 2 minutes. Please enjoy this trailer with its epic sound, and then we're going to talk about it. So here we go. Stand by.
Being a mother, working, and you can hear your baby cry, wanting milk, yet you can't feed them. You just can't. I'm sorry.
I think the story of the woman, Girmitiyas, is still a story that needs to be told.
No one knows about their painful history, their horrific treatment in the sugarcane fields. And yet they were not anywhere in the history of Fiji.
And some of the women had to pick up the babies, and the babies had actually died.
I read a book that was from a female missionary at the time, and she said the Indian women of Fiji look dead.
I think I'm destined to live. As long as I live, these memories will continue to invade my life.
Okay, I'm just going to stop that now. So just stand by, everybody, while I stop this here on the screen. And for those of you who are watching us live, what you just saw is the trailer video. I'm going to remove it off the screen. We're going to go back and tidy all this up in editing. If you didn't hear the sound properly, you can come back to reclaimgirmit.ca, the website, and watch it. But that was the epic trailer. So I'm just going to ask Rajendra, you to just tell us about that trailer. Tell us about the experience when you watch that. How does that make you feel?
Every time I watch it, it brings tears to my eyes, because it really evokes and brings back the memories of the journey I took during my research and writing of the book. So it's a very emotional piece that touches my heart.
Well, thank you. It is very emotional. I'm going to hold up here now your book, Tears in Paradise, and then, Rajendra, I'm going to ask you another question I have. The book, Tears in Paradise, was the foundation behind the film. As a descendant of Girmitiyas yourself, I know it's deeply personal. What was the moment in your life when you realized that these stories had to be documented so that they could last forever?
I was quite intrigued when I was in high school, and we were learning British history and history of African countries. I was just wondering, there was no mention of the history of our people, but then the colonial powers were so dominant that you didn't dare question all these things. And I think there was a conscious effort by the colonial authorities to ban books on Girmit. There were two books, one written by a Girmitiya, Totaram, and the other one was written in 1921 by a journalist, Banarsi Das Chaturvedi. It was about the title Fiji Ki Samasya, which means Fiji's problems. Now, these two books were totally banned in Fiji, and anyone having copies always feared the worst. And somehow these books stayed in the background in the hands of some people. I think in the 1970s, Totharam's book came out, and then I was able to get a copy of the other very powerful book, Banasidas Chaturvedi's Fiji's Problems. And and my father was a reader of history. He was very interested in Indian history. He would get books on Indian history, and I used to sit down and talk to him, and they were very secretive about where they kept these books and hidden and all those things. But all those things registered inside me. So later in life, that intrigue led me into questioning about the absence of the history of our people in Fiji. And yet, funny enough, the history books wrote lavishly on the practice of cannibalism in Fiji, with the still pictures,
Yeah.
young male ready for the lower pit for all that. Then I did ask as to why we were, and then I also heard that early days, a lot of Girmitiyas in our village, and they were very reluctant to speak about that period, and in fact prohibited in homes to say anything or discuss about it. And we abided because the culture of silence was spread across our community. And it later in life, in 1974, when I accidentally found my roots in India, and it was a very emotional pilgrimage that made me think as to how my grandfather from a remote village in India made his way and ended up in Fiji, and then that intrigue led me into deeper into it. So this is where the journey began.
Yeah, thank you. Shyam, I muted you while we were talking just so we didn't get background noise. So I just unmuted you again. I might mute you throughout if that happens. We're live, everybody, here with Rajendra Prasad and Shyam Upadhyay. They're the co-producers of the new film Girmit, Fields of Sadness. Gentlemen, I'm going to put something on the screen here, so just watch this for a minute. See if I can put it on the screen for everybody to see. Everybody, while we're having our discussion here, I want you to see this QR code. And so you can take a photo of this with your camera, and it'll take you to the website, reclaimgirmit.ca. So we'll be putting that up throughout the presentation, just so that you'll be able to have access to that website, or you can go straight there. Rajendra, I want to put a photograph on the screen. I know it's something deeply personal, and I want you to tell us what it means. So tell us what this photograph means.
Well, there is this tree which is common among the sugarcane fields, and behind that are to most people it's a sugarcane, but to me, I see much more than that. The stillness, the serenity, the quiet dignity of the fields, but yet those fields to me tell a story that many would not dare
Yeah.
think about it. But to me, when I walked through these sugarcane fields, I felt the spirit of eeriness all over my body, and I was always intrigued as to why I'm feeling like as I am feeling. But these intrigues gradually led into great understanding of the whole situation and inspiration to do what I did.
Thank you for sharing that, Rajendra. I'm so honored. I have seen the film. You and Shyam gave me permission to see it. My wife and I watched it. We'll talk about that more later. There was a particular scene in the film which had this tree, and I won't give it away because people will see the film, but the story of how people would tell the story of, and what this tree meant in the film was quite something. Shyam, I'm going to come to you now and ask you something, so I'm just going to unmute you, Shyam. We're live, everyone. Shyam is in Fiji right now, which is just wonderful. How's things going in Fiji, Shyam, with the screenings, the first screenings ever of this film? You're there now. We have a sound.
Tom, in Fiji, the premiere night was really great because we had like lots of people from ministry, from embassy, and it was around 170 invited guests was there.
Yeah.
And it was really great night. Like it was fun.
It's wonderful. I'm going to put a picture up on the screen here and ask you to tell us. Yeah, yes. I'm getting your voice okay. So I'm going to put a picture on the screen here, and this is from the movie. Shyam, tell us about the significance of this image. What does it mean in the film?
Tom, this image is like, means when this image came on the screen the very first time, it says, the entire your history of that era, basically. The pain of what the pain was there, in their life. So this image says everything. Like means you won't believe when this image, like you have seen the film and like.
Yeah.
So means with this image means I don't want to say anything. There is no audio, no no background music, just this image on the screen, and it says everything about the film.
Thank you. It speaks for itself. I know when we saw the film, that image
and
is haunting.
Especially I relate that image which is you have shown the tree one.
Yeah.
When I first saw that tree standing alone in the middle of the field, it felt like it was holding the weight of so many untold stories.
Yeah.
We didn't need to say much. The tree becomes a silent witness in the film. It represents memories, strength, and the long shadow of the past, and still lives today. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
this
a great.
This is a wonderful
Yeah.
part of the
That's it. Thank you, Shyam. It's a great image. Shyam, as an Indo-Kiwi filmmaker, what was your personal connection to this story, and what was the emotional journey you went on when you were trying to make this film and bring it to the screen? Just describe anything you can.
But Tom, it's not a film for me and Rajendra. It's an emotion for both of us.
Yeah.
And I'm not the descendant of Girmitiyas, but when I read first time Rajendra's book Tears in Paradise, and it's moved me on, and I thought, oh my God, this story has to be told, because this history is nowhere in the Indian and Pacific books, Pacific
Yes.
history. So that's why, that's.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to put another picture on the screen. This is the poster. Now, we've had a lot of feedback. This is a striking image when it's up on the screen. Just tell us anything you can, Shyam, about this poster. What does it mean? How did whoever created it, how did they come up with this image? Making sure you're hearing me. Are you hearing me okay?
Are you getting my voice?
Yeah, you're fine.
Oh no, you have to ask me again, because
yeah, let me ask you again. Everybody,
we're very poor here because right now
I understand.
we are in Labasa.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do this again. So everyone, we're live here with Shyam in Fiji, Rajendra, New Zealand. I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. We'll be editing this. This is live. This is what it's like in the studio, having fun. Shyam, this is the film poster. Anything you want to say about this, the image?
But this image, like when we thought what should be our film poster, so there was lots of work behind this poster. Like we thought for so many days, and then I thought, oh my God, simply I should put one, like the girl face and the shape. That's it,
Yeah,
and it says my film. It's my film story basically.
I
So
see.
yeah, that's it. That's we have like thought, and we have decided to just.
Yeah, it's wonderful. For everybody watching, you can find that on the website, reclaimgirmit.ca, and there's the QR code. You can get to the website that way or just go straight there where you'll find all the information about the Canadian premiere. I'd like to now get into the some more questions about the film itself. And so let me just find one here I'd like to ask you. We're going to talk about the film. We talked about the tree. Rajendra, as both an author and a co-producer of the film, how do you approach adapting your written work in your book? That's this one, The Tears in Paradise. How did you approach adapting it into a visual film, and what were important for you to preserve in the transition from going from the book to the film?
Well, one of the important things was that I had absorbed the spirit uh, that of the Girmit era, the memories that I carried, and the impact of those memories resided deep into in my subconscious. But whenever occasions arose, they came up out to the surface. So when we coordinated and combined with Shyam, and I wrote the script. So I had to be selective. I mean, it's 41 years of history. It cannot be absorbed in a 90-minute documentary. But what we tried to do was to pick up those those incidents that we thought would really depict to the public what Girmit truly was in Fiji.
Yes. Yeah, it's amazing. Shyam, I'm going to unmute you now and just ask you a question. So let me just make sure I can unmute you. You heard what Rajendra said about shifting from the page, the author, to the film. Let me ask you this. As the director, what were the unique challenges of making this film a historical documentary with such emotional weight? How did you approach the visual storytelling to honor both the facts and the feeling behind this history?
But Tom, it was making this film wasn't like it was very hard, for because the mostly the challenging part was like the evidence of that era, the
Yeah,
photographs, the visuals means that time there was no movie like, there was movie camera, but not that kind of visuals of the fields and the labors and all, and whatever the interview we have like taken from descendant. So it was like to approaching those evidence which is we got views from the descendants. So it was really hard for me to finding those photographs from some maybe like some written evidences, some like there. So it was, yeah, well, it was one of the very difficult part for me. Yeah.
yeah, I can imagine.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
then can I ask, okay, can I tell you one thing? Because my network is really very slow. So what you are speaking, or maybe what Rajendra is speaking, I'm not getting the voice and the proper like. So
Okay.
I don't know
You're
why it's
doing,
network is very slow
sure.
here in Fiji.
Yeah, I understand. Fiji, the good thing about Fiji is everything is slow. The difficult thing is when you're doing live stream, sometimes it becomes a challenge. We live in North America. We live in a world where everything's going so fast and people get all stressed out. So we're going to continue to work with your sound. Everyone, we're live here with
Yeah, means like
Rajendra.
because
Yeah, it's okay. So we're live here. So the good news is we're going to be able to go back and edit.
that's why
But
I'm missing some points of view.
Yeah, no
That's why I'm
problem.
missing some points of your questions. Means like
Yeah.
the words
Also,
I'm missing the words and all. So
sure. Well, what you can do is, as I ask you more questions, just ask me to say it again if you don't understand it, and we'll do our best. I'm going to put another photograph up on the
okay,
screen
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Uh,
No, it's
uh,
only the matter of the breaking the voice. Basically, voice is breaking.
yeah. So what we have another photograph on the screen here. Rajendra, what's the significance of this image? Where was this? Was this in part of the film?
This would be, I think it's from Ba,
Yeah.
where I am from. So it would be showing a typical village with cane ready for harvesting, and also shows the fallow land which is ready, which is to be ready for uh, putting in new crops.
I see.
So that cycle keeps going in the sugarcane plantation areas where there is a crop ready for harvest, and there is also a land which is which the farmers will plant the new crops in it.
It's very beautiful. I'm going to take it off the screen now. I'm just going to let's look at the global impact of this film. So the story of indentured labor isn't just Fiji's story. It was a global story. It's part of a global colonial legacy that shaped nations and diaspora communities worldwide, as you know. How do you see this narrative documentary contributing to the larger conversation about historical reconciliation? We'll start with you, Rajendra, if you have any thoughts.
Well, it is, to me, it is quite shocking as to how a dominant ruler, a ruler that ill treats people, exploits them, physically abuses them to the extent they did to our Girmitiyas ancestors. Ended up writing the same history in such a way that it depicts, it presents that ruler as a very kind, compassionate, and a benevolent ruler, when that wasn't true at all. And it
Yeah.
chose, in our case, it chose not to include the Girmit period history in the history books of Fiji. And I'm saying Fiji's history is unsustainable without the Girmit history, because it is the most important segment of Fiji's history, because it laid the economic foundation of uh, of the colony of Fiji. And yet the people who did it were nowhere mentioned as to how they struggled, if with their blood, sweat, and tears,
Yeah.
to establish Fiji's most powerful industry, and it became one of the jewel of the Pacific. And it was because of the sacrifices and sufferings of the Girmitiyas. And yet the historians too, in a way, collaborated to give voice to the dominance of the ruler and not the victims.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to unmute you, Shyam. See if I can, Shyam, if you can hear me. Shyam, if you can hear me, I just want to share something with both of you now. I'm gonna put
I'm just
Yeah, you're good. You're fine. You're okay. I know that he's struggling with his sound there, but I'm going to put something else on the screen here. What this is a document that has early praise, people making comments about the film. Sorry, that's the wrong one. I'm just going to find the right one here. Just hold on. Try there. Okay, there we go. So these are early comments about the film that people are excited about it. I'd like to just read one out loud here. It's very notable. It's from Fiji. It's from the Honorable Manoa Kamika, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Trade Cooperatives in Government of Fiji. This is what he wrote. He says, the story of the Girmitiyas represents a profound chapter in Fiji's history and cultural identity. I'm pleased to see this important film being shared with Canadian audiences, especially given the significant Indo-Fijian diaspora in British Columbia. This initiative strengthens the cultural bonds between our nations while honoring the resilience and contributions of those who came before us. The film is being planned to be screened in Fiji this week. I believe it's there now. And he wanted everybody to know, as I was making the announcement here in Vancouver recently, that he's very proud of the work that you're doing. So, Rajendra, I wonder if you could just comment on how you feel the film's being received around the world so far. You had it screened in New Zealand a few times as well.
Well, as expected. I mean, when I was ready to write my book, and it impacted on me as to I did not write the book for myself. I wrote it for the descendant of Girmitiyas and the wider public. So I already had that bubbling emotion inside me, almost bursting inside me. So when I tried to capture all that, we had decided, I mean, Shyam was equally emotionally driven as I was. So it was a combination of two people who carried the emotions of Girmit. I placed it inside my book,
Yeah.
and it was Shyam's effort to coordinate all that and put it on the documentary. And he had captured the emotions exceptionally well. Like in the book, Shyam has transposed same with same power and passion and emotion in the documentary, and I see the impact of it so powerfully when people watch. There are people who say they cried throughout the watching the film, and I was there in the second screening of documentary in Auckland, and as soon as the documentary was over, there were people coming and holding me and crying, and they didn't know what went through them, and they were crying and making me cry too. So Shyam did an excellent job to capture the emotions of the book and then transpose it on the screen.
No, thank you very much for sharing that. I'm just trying to see if I can get Shyam to comment here. Shyam, I'm just going to unmute you. I know it's hard with your sound. You're in Fiji. We're going to see if I can get Shyam unmuted and ask for his feedback on how he feels the film's being received. Shyam, can you hear me okay? I'm not sure if you can hear me. Shyam, you hear me okay? We're going to just try it unmuting. Everybody, we're live here, so we're live across the nations. I'm just going to try to unmute our director, Shyam's microphone, and see if we can get a comment from him on how he feels the film is being received. If not, I'm just going to keep going because I have several more questions. We're going to keep going here with Rajendra till we can work out Shyam's sound. Shyam, I'm just going to try one more time to unmute you. There we go. Shyam, can you hear me? If you can hear me, Shyam?
Because we're
Yeah.
in like so far like in some network, like
Yeah.
it's very little, Tom. There is nothing like just
Okay.
It's just a breaking the voice.
Yeah, no problem. You're breaking up there. I tell you what, I'm gonna.
Even I change my my Indian SIM, and I'm using my.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, if you can hear me, if you can say anything about the
in morning, it was fine.
Okay. All right. What we're gonna do is we're gonna mute. I'm going to mute you, and I'm just going to continue talking to Rajendra until we can sort out your sound. Don't worry about it. Everybody, we're live here with Rajendra and Shyam, the co-producers of the new film Girmit, Fields of Sadness. Pardon me. I'm going to share something else on the screen here. Rajendra, I wanted to show you this, and Shyam too, personally. Just show. Can you see that on the screen there, Rajendra? Just tell me if you see a document. Yeah. Okay.
I can, yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about reading it. But this is the immigration pass for my great-grandfather, Bhagwan Ram. And the story here, Rajendra, is I was so emotionally moved. Last year, I attended a Girmitiyas Day meeting, and I started learning about this story. That's how I met you. And I did the research, and only 2 months ago, I found this pass. So my great-grandfather, his name was Bhagwan Ram, and he was born in a village in India. He came over on the ship EMS in 1904 to Fiji. And in Fiji, he was known as Lali Mirage. The reason why I wanted to show this is a report that I had commissioned. They went to his village and actually found where the village is and confirmed that he was born in India. That's a cousin of mine there. I wanted just to show you this, how important this story is to me. That's the village, Sotahari, where Bhagwan was from. And again, there's a ship's pass. So I'm so honored that you made this film, because I had many tears when I learned my grandfather was one of those on the ships. And the reason why I share this story with you is because sometimes I want to talk about the resilience, what people who came through this era. Bhagwan in Fiji, he had a corner store, and his name was Lali Mirage, and he would give candy out to all the children who came by. And my father, who passed away in 2018, Rajendra, Ashok Dutta, my dad passed away years ago. He told me that my great-grandfather supported 20 different families. He helped people a lot. And so I wanted to ask you, you tell the story of the hardship and the people who come through to Fiji through that indentured labor program. How do you feel about the resilience in the community and the people who have now stood on the ground of those folks? How do you feel about them and their resilience?
I think we have inherited it from the Girmitiyas generation, that spirit of hard work, strive and strive and achieve. That lives inside every generation, and this is something that we have inherited from the Girmitiyas generation. Now, one of the things, most painful things that I found, which I saw in my village, the power of poverty, and struggle of people. Now, the Girmitiyas were tested for resilience to the point of death. And the same thing happened to my parents. My father was born when his parents were still saving the indenture, the Girmit in Ba, and that poverty cascaded down generations, and I found how people struggled, strived, and succeeded in ways where many other cultures would have just collapsed and moved on with their lives. But how people their challenge against poverty really made them people who would not succumb to such pressures, but they would take life as a challenge and move on and pass the same legacy to their descendants.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And you must know this, Rajendra, you're a very humble man, but the word legend fits. What you've done here, writing your book 20 some odd years ago, and then creating the screenplay and the film, allowing this film to be seen internationally. And now coming next year, I believe you both are taking it into the mainstream TV. The whole world is starting to learn about this story through this film. And so the legacy you've created is just incredible. And that's why we wanted to meet you and have this conversation. Shyam, if you can hear me and you want to say anything, I'll just keep you unmuted. Just feel free if you hear me and you want to say anything to hop on. Everybody, we're having some challenge with Shyam's microphone. He's in Fiji, but we're going to keep him on because he's a big part of this story. Rajendra, now that you've done the film and it's starting to make its way around the world, what's next? What's next in the chapter? How do you see this vision unfolding from here?
I think I'm thankful to Almighty God that a mission that began almost 30 years back,
Wow.
I was able to accomplish it, and it's quite a coincidence that the day of the premiere night in Auckland, I was all ready to go to the premiere night, had my speech ready and everything, but that very morning, I was hospitalized and I couldn't attend the premiere of this important documentary. And then I was diagnosed with a lung infection for which there is no cure. I have to make the best of what few years I have, and I think I'm thankful to God that the mission that I began, I was able to successfully complete it. I mean, it was time of great joy and celebration, but apparently it happened that on that same day, I'm also told that I have got some kind of illness where there is no cure, and I'm almost 80 now, 80 years. So I'm quite happy with what I have achieved and the legacy I leave behind, not only for my people, but also for the world to know that what happened to our forgotten Girmitiyas and how the authorities that had a duty of care. Now, these Girmitiyas were not Indian citizens; they were British citizens, and
Yes.
yet the British abrogated its responsibility uh, to promote, protect, and defend the rights of its citizens. They only did it because they were Indians, and at that time, India was ruled by the British. So
Yes.
they treated them as the slaves of the empire, and they tricked them into going to different colonies, and where they were exploited and ill-treated. And then when it came to writing the history, they opted not to just exclude it from the historical texts.
Yes.
So
Oh, thank you
yeah.
for sharing that. I'm going to put another photo on the screen here. I think you know this man. He's receiving some recognition. I think that's you, right? What was happening? Do you remember this?
Yes, we had this 146th anniversary of the commemoration here in Auckland. That's last Saturday,
Yes.
and the Fiji Girmit Foundation, New Zealand, they presented me a plaque on the work that I have done, and it was presented to me by the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Christopher Luxon, on
Yes.
that night.
No, that's I was been reading some things on Facebook about how in New Zealand the community has grown and the recognition from the government there. Send a message, anything you want to say to our prime minister, our government, anybody in the government of different nations who are going to be seeing this film. How can they help bring this story forward? What can they do?
I think it is not only an Indian story. It is a human story which has escaped the history books and
Yeah.
outraged the governments and the people in authority to promote it, because it is something that the world must know, that how some silent people have done, ordinary people have done extraordinary uh, works, sacrifices, and their contribution has helped these countries. I mean, wherever our people, the descendants of the Girmitiyas, are, they displayed the same qualities of hard work, resilience, and sacrifice to not only build themselves but also to positively contribute towards the countries where they live.
Oh, thank you for that. What we'll be doing with this interview once we edit it, Rajendra and Shyam, I know you can maybe not hear me as well, is we're going to be taking small clips, 1 minute, and turning those into what they call shorts, viral short clips that we can put out across social media to continue to tell the story, promote this film. Everybody, as you're watching here, we're doing this to honor the Prasad family, the Shyam, who's the director, created this beautiful film, and we would like the world to see it. And this year, it's being screened in so many different countries, and soon to be Canada. If you want to get a hold of the information about the film, everybody, just go to Reclaim Girmit, reclaimgirmit.ca. That's the website we have here for information about our Canadian premiere. It'll be in October this year, and you can go to the website and put your information in there so that we can get a hold of you. I want to have some fun and show you something, Rajendra and Shyam. I don't know if you can see this. We have the first T-shirt, Girmit T-shirt. Can you imagine all the children and the grandchildren and the adults wearing a T-shirt like this? And don't know if you can see, but it says, I reclaimed Girmit 2025, Vancouver, Canada. So we're just starting to have some fun with this. Something like this is an artifact that people will wear with pride. And the reason why we're calling it Reclaim Girmit is just as you said, both of you have said, this is our story. And you've given us an opportunity with everything that you're doing to reclaim the past. Many of us didn't know it. And then write the next chapter to tell that story the right way. So I'll make sure that you'll be wearing one of these each. Just let me put it back here. Rajendra, I have another surprise for you. I was telling you this in the green room before we came on live, but I want the audience to hear it, that I made a phone call to a gentleman in the San Francisco Bay Area in the United States just recently. His name's Narendra Narayan. And I started talking to him about the film we're bringing here, your film. And he says, you know what, Tom? He said, I read Rajendra's book, Tears in Paradise. And he said, 20 some odd years ago, Rajendra was doing a book tour. And he said he came to California, and I actually brought him to my house. And he saw with 25 people, he said we did a book signing. So he speaks very highly of you. I wanted to read you what he wrote. He wrote something. I'll put it on the screen here. Let me just find the right document here, everyone. I'm putting up here what we have are the list of comments that have come in. Let me see if I can find what he wrote so I can have it on the screen. I think it's the last one. Here we go. I'll read this out loud so you can enjoy it. Narendra Narayan in the United States, he's the president and CEO of Innovative Circuits Engineering Company. He's also the president of the new U.S. Fiji Chamber of Commerce in California. And this is what he wrote. He says, our ancestors, the Girmitiyas, embarked on a journey to Fiji with unwavering courage and resilience, laying the groundwork for future generations to thrive. Their legacy of strength and perseverance continues to inspire us, as their struggles are not forgotten but remembered, shared, and deeply honored. The documentary Girmit, Fields of Sadness, provides a poignant glimpse into the hardships they endured during the Girmit era, offering a valuable opportunity to reflect on their enduring spirit. I just think that was just a wonderful thing that he wrote. Do you want to say anything about that, Rajendra?
I now remember who this man is. I remember going to his house.
Yeah,
His brother worked with me when I was town clerk at bar. So
yeah,
I precisely remember. I think, yeah, I'll give him a call when I finish this interview. So yeah, he we did signing of the book at his
yeah.
place. So
Yeah, we're going to
yeah.
just do a little round of applause for him. There's a little bit of a round of applause for people. But Rajendra, you need to know this, you and your family and Shyam too, that around the world, wherever the film is starting to be seen, people are sending these type of comments. You're so revered and so honored, my friend. And I wanted to say, God bless you for your health. We all pray for you. And I love you. I love your family and Shyam, everything that you're doing to get this story out. You're changing nations, you're changing lives. I want to show you another book just very quickly. This book is called The 212 Soldiers for the Queen. And my father was in Fiji, born in Suva, and he was one of the first 212 selected by the British Army. They were having trouble recruiting people, and my dad was selected. And my dad was in in the UK, and I was born in the UK on a military base. So this whole story of this film and the Girmitiyas, I didn't know anything about this story, but it's even more hard for me sometimes to think how my father served, the British nation. He was in the army. He came to Canada and became a commanding officer in the Canadian forces. But my dad never spoke of this story. And as you said in the film, you discussed that. So uh, just tell us again in your why you think people who maybe didn't talk about this story. Why do you think that was?
I think there was a strategy was to manipulate
Yeah.
and intimidate, dominate, humiliate, and exploit.
Wow.
And once they treated them, for example, if they inflicted any beating or thrashing on them, they would urge others to tease them, to humiliate them. I mean, I'll tell a story of the overseer wasn't very happy about one man, and he didn't even know that the overseer, and he asked him, "Today you're going to the field, but you are going with women's group,
Yeah.
but you wear women's clothes and you go with them." He had no choice. He had absolutely no choice. So he wore the women's clothes and went and worked with this group. Now, how can this man relate this story to his family? I'm quite sure. I'm sure 85% that this man would have committed suicide, because it is a very humiliating experience.
Yes.
And I think this humiliation part of it was so substantial, so excruciating to the victims,
Mm.
that they could not open their mouths, lest their descendants be stigmatized uh, by what they been through, how they've been treated. So humiliation was, and also it went just beyond that. I mean, I couldn't capture in the book. I mean, leave alone. There's also this attempt to not only humiliate them but to dehumanize them.
Yes.
They were trying to. That's another story. That they wanted to create a subhuman class of people, our people,
Yes.
They didn't want didn't want the Girmitiya children to go to school. They didn't provide schools, and because they didn't want them to grow to be educated and start competing with the European establishments, and yet it is the determination and sacrifices of the Girmitiyas that they invested in the education of their children at their own expense. They built schools. They provided for the teachers and liberated. The only thing they knew was the only way to liberate ourselves was to educate our children. Otherwise, they will continue to be the same as they were. Now, one of the strongest beliefs they had was their belief in the dictum of karma. They believed that they were being punished and they were enduring something for as penance for the sins of their past. So that's what if we bear all these atrocities, our sins will be redeemed, and subsequent generations will be liberated from their suffering and sacrifices that consume their lives. So there was it's not just taking these people to exploit, but there was a definite and a very strong plan to make them just be working
Yes.
for the Europeans at the
Yeah.
however they wanted.
Thank you for sharing that. It's so moving to hear it from you because you lived in that. You were in Fiji during that last chapter of this whole story, and I just wanted to do a quick shout out to Shyam. Shyam, if you can hear me, I'm going to unmute you, but just feel free to come on anytime. I know you've got a sound issue there. Everyone, the director of the film, Girmit Fields of Sadness, Shyam, is with us from Fiji, where he's screening the film there right now in this month. And he's got some sound issues. So Shyam, feel free to, if you want to come on, say anything. I'm just going to try to unmute you here. There we just, everybody, we're live, so we can edit all this later.
Still,
Shyam, if you want to jump in and say,
images has gone now.
okay. Oh, he's back. So we'll just let him pretend.
Images has gone now.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. So I'm going to just mute him again. Rajendra, just want to put something else on the screen here to show you. So this is in Surrey, the city of Surrey, British Columbia, on May 14th, and there was almost 100 people in the room, and that's me, and I made an announcement about the film. Rajendra and Shyam, you can see on the screen the website that has the information. And what's interesting about this room, Rajendra, is there are people of all ages in here, and some of the young people I spoke to, they didn't know anything about the story. And there's such a thirst for information. And that's why your film is so important to the whole community. I'm going to just go to another picture here. This one was just May 18th. I spoke at the Fiji Canada Association. My father, when he was alive, was president, and today, but you can see the room there. You see the flag of Fiji, the flag of Canada. This was at the end after they were ready to have dinner. But we had 3 speakers, and it was all dedicated to this Girmitiya education. We announced your film that's going to be here, and we actually read out something that you had written. And I'd like to just take a minute here and read this. So I'm going to take this picture off the screen. Like Rajendra, then I'll get you to comment. So before let me just add back to the stage the photograph. So Rajendra, you see I'm at the microphone there, and we have the TV, and we played the trailer video from the movie. But before we played the trailer, you wrote this to me, and I read it out to the audience. I want to do this just for today, so we have it on camera. So I'm just going to read what I'm reading right there to the room of people. Rajendra Prasad said, "The Fields of Sadness is more than a documentary. It's a voice long silenced, a tribute to the untold suffering of the Girmitiyas. As the producer, I was compelled by a hidden truth that the historians chose to ignore, and the Girmit system in Fiji was a crime against humanity. Our ancestors toiled, bled, wept in silence, exploited, dehumanized, and forgotten. Their pain seeped into the soil, yet their story was erased from textbooks and public memory to protect those who visited the most atrocious crimes against our Girmitiyas ancestors. Through this film and my books Tears in Paradise and Enslaved in Paradise, I sought to give them the dignity of remembrance, to honor their sacrifice, to ensure their legacy is no longer hidden, but etched in the hearts of their descendants, including those who view it. This is not just a film, it is a reckoning, a resurrection, a promise that they who suffered the unsufferable and endured the unendurable will never be forgotten. I want to just put my hands together and thank you. Rajendra, what do you feel when you hear me read that again? Because that whole room heard it and you could hear a pin drop. What do you feel when you hear your words?
It evokes the same emotions that I felt when I was writing the book, and then later working with Shyam on the script. But I've got a very funny experience. I think I'm a two person.
Yeah.
One is as you are talking to me, but when I sit down to write, I seem to go into a different world, like a man possessed. And when I write all that, and then when I read it in the morning, I can't believe that I have done it. So it is a very personal experience, very something that lives with me. But I have shared this with other people,
Yeah.
and funny. Shyam wants a copy of the book in
Uh-huh.
Fiji, and I was reading Tears in Paradise, and I didn't feel like putting it down, and I couldn't even believe that I wrote it. So, so it's something that is quite enigmatic, but I think my heart and soul were just absorbed the whole emotion of Girmit,
Yes.
and I wanted that to come out into the public arena and before the world, so that there is the Girmitiyas the memories are not lost forever. And with the
Well,
documentary, I wrote the book.
yeah.
Hardly 10% of our people would read it, and now people don't read and they don't buy books. But with the documentary, I expect 95% of the descendant of Girmitiyas to see this history and know what tragedy our Girmit has been through.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Wow, Rajendra, I like the idea of you being possessed. It's very nice to see you when you're a man who's possessed writing your book. I hold up the book here to honor you. You can see the sticky notes. I've read the book cover to cover. And one of the things you might not know is I'm completing my doctorate degree right now. I'm writing a thesis about ancestors' heritage. And I read this book months ago as part of my research. And of course, after seeing the film, we had the pleasure of seeing that. Thank you to both you and Shyam. I want to thank you, Rajendra, for being a possessed author. And the reason why, I don't know if you know this, but less than 1% of people in the world write books. And maybe you have a comment on this, but what gets in the way of people writing books is they tend to worry people don't want to hear what they write. Sometimes it's the fear of maybe people judging them. What was the hardest or easiest part for you about actually writing a book like this?
I did not write the book to gain the distinction of being called an author. I
Mm.
had a purpose and I had a mission, and I wanted the story to be told, and I didn't want to write a book that that was for me to express myself as an author. I had a target audience, and I wrote with tears flowing, and I tried to capture my emotion and transpose it in my books. And one of the funny things I'll tell you is after I wrote certain passages and I read and I had tears in my eyes, I got my daughter and I said, "You just listen to me," and say. And when I saw her wiping her tears, then I knew that I had achieved what I wanted to convey to the reader.
Yes.
So when I wrote primarily for the reader to touch their hearts and make them think and reconnect with the pioneer generation. And to what extent I have succeeded, I think the book may not have been the magic. The true magic is the documentary.
Yeah, I agree with you. After reading the book again, everybody, the book Tears in Paradise, you can find it on Amazon, I'm sure. And with a little luck, we're going to, for our premiere here in Canada in October, try to have some available. But I think you're right, Rajendra. The book itself reveals a lot, but the narrative documentary is going to change the world. It's already changed lives from those who've seen it. And yeah, no, it's great. Listen, now that I've said that about the film, I have a few more things, and we're going to start to move to wrapping up. Let's see if Shyam's still in the studio. He's having trouble again with his camera, but I want to share something with you here, Rajendra. So I'm going to put it on screen. This is a surprise. I was hoping I could have Shyam on the broadcast still if he comes back, but I'm going to, just bear with me. I'm going to put something on the screen here. Hold on. I'm going to share another screen. Everybody, we're live here, so we're just in the studio putting something up there. And let me just go to here. Do you see that there, Rajendra? It just says narrative documentary review. You see that? Yep.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Oh, good. So Shyam's back. So I wanted to, Shyam, I know you can't hear me, but I wanted to have you on the screen while I share this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to honor both of you now by reading out loud for the first time ever a review that I've written for your film. I want to start with the story behind this, Rajendra, how this happened. Thank you to you and Shyam. My wife and I were able to screen the film in big screen and cinematic sound. As a promoter, I wanted to see the film. And when the film finished, I sat on the edge of my seat with my wife in our theater chairs, and we couldn't stop staring at the screen. The ending music, soundtrack, and just the credits, we literally were moved. I went to my cell phone and I phoned Shyamji and I recorded a message to him. I wanted him to hear what I felt right in that moment. And then I took that recording of that phone call and I made it into a transcript and I turned it into this written review. We're going to put this on the website. We want you to use it wherever you need it to promote the film. So let me read it out loud, and I just want you to relax and enjoy. It's a little bit to read. So going to change screens here and go it. Okay, so here goes. I'm just going to read it out loud. Everyone, this is a 5-star review for the narrative documentary film, Girmit, Fields of Sadness, directed by Shyam and Tashu Films, co-produced, screenplay written by Rajendra Prasad, and the author of the book. 5 stars. Title, A Visceral Journey Through Forgotten History, and by myself. Girmit, Fields of Sadness delivers a profound cinematic experience that resonates long after the credits roll. This powerful documentary left me literally shaking with emotion, a visceral response I've rarely experienced in my decades of film appreciation. The film chronicles the often overlooked history of indentured laborers, Girmitiyas, transported to Fiji under British colonial rule, a chapter of history with deep personal significance to me as a descendant of these laborers. Director Shyam has crafted not merely a documentary, but a cinematic masterpiece that deserves recognition as a future classic. As the first to screen this 2024 release in Canada and its official Canadian premiere promoter, I feel privileged to introduce this important work to North America audiences. The film is scheduled for international screenings throughout 2025, with the Vancouver premiere this October representing a significant milestone in bringing this story to new audiences. What immediately strikes the viewer is the film's exceptional visual composition. The cinematography is incredibly beautiful, presenting historical material with dignity and respect. Even archival photographs of variable quality are masterfully integrated, creating a seamless visual narrative that honors the subject matter without unnecessarily embellishment. This documentary left me literally shaking with emotion, a visceral experience I've rarely experienced in decades of my film appreciation. The soundtrack deserves particular praise for its perfect emotional calibration. Rather than overwhelming the viewer with melodrama, the music provides an authentic emotional foundation that enhances the storytelling. One sequence featuring women's stories of lost children, accompanied by a haunting traditional song, proved especially moving. As my wife noted while reaching for tissues, the music conveyed profound emotion that transcended language barriers, making us feel something very deep. Structurally, the film demonstrates brilliant narrative craftsmanship, following a chronological approach that educates viewers unfamiliar with this history. Upadhyay employs what I recognize as Joseph Campbell's hero's journey storytelling technique. The documentary features multiple narrative arcs that build tension, create emotional investment, and provide necessary moments to release before the next sequence begins. This approach keeps viewers sitting on the edge of their seats. The film's educational value cannot be overstated. As someone who has researched this history and read Prasad's book, Tears in Paradise, I was impressed by how much new information the documentary provided, filling knowledge gaps with clarity and nuance. Particularly powerful was the sequence detailing Prasad's challenge to the British government and the sugar companies for acknowledging an apology, a moment of partial healing captured with appropriate gravitas. The film will help others discover whether they too are connected to this powerful story. The documentary skillfully avoids potential pitfalls by maintaining historical focus without unnecessarily delving into religious or political controversy. This approach ensures the widest possible audience can engage with the material on its merits. The film's conclusion deserves special mention, a masterclass in emotional resonance. The drumbeat accompaniment to the credits created what can only be described as an epic moment where you can hear a pin drop as viewers process the weight of what they've witnessed. This technique ensures the documentary lingers in the conscious mind for long after. Girmit, Fields of Sadness, accomplishes what truly great historical documentaries must. It transforms distant historical events into deeply felt human experiences. For descendants of Girmitiyas like myself, it offers insight into unspoken family trauma. My paternal great-grandfather, Bhagwan Ram, known as Lali Miraj in Fiji, came on a ship in 1904, yet my father never discussed his story. Through this film, I gained understanding of why my father might have kept silent about these painful origins. This narrative documentary isn't merely excellent filmmaking. It's essential historical documentation that deserves the widest possible audience. It stands as a testament to the power of cinema to educate, move, and ultimately heal. As we reclaim the meaning of Girmit, we rewrite the future of our lives with pride in these sacrifices before us. This film will help others discover whether they too are connected to this powerful history. In my professional assessment, Girmit, Fields of Sadness, is destined for significant festival success, should be considered required viewing for anyone interested in colonial history, human rights, or simply exceptional documentary filmmaking. I consider Rajendra and Shyam now lifelong friends. I'm honored to play a role in bringing their important work to Canadian audiences and beyond. Congratulations, Rajendra and Shyam. Rajendra, any words for you when you hear someone
I
like...
think I think it's beautifully captured the essence of it, and you have observed the emotions of the documentary. I think I think it will have a similar impact on the audience, more so on the descendants of the Girmitiyas who were disconnected and had eventually become disinterested in it. So after 100 years uh, uh, since the cessation of the indenture system in Fiji, both Shyam and I have been able to retrieve what was meant to be assigned to the dustbin of history. and the Girmitiyas forgotten. So it's beautiful. I'm very deeply moved by what you do. We need support, similar support from people uh, in other countries to make it a success and to reconnect our people. They reclaim their history. It is a history of, it is a tragic history, but nevertheless, it is a spirit. It is a triumph of the human spirit of resilience and sacrifice.
There you go. What a beautiful way to say it. Thank you, Rajendra. As I go to wrapping up with both of you, I have a few more things I want to put on the screen just so people know how they can get a hold of the film, or at least get a hold of the information. So I'm just going to share something here, Rajendra and Shyam. I know that you're on mute because of your sound, but if you want to mute anytime, please do. Let me just put up one more screen here, you guys. And okay, so I'm going to come back. I'm just looking at my studio dashboard here just so I can. Okay. So I'm going to just, Rajendra, I'm just going to speak for a minute here, and then I'm going to ask you something. But let me just show everyone. So this is the website that I created here as the promoter of this film for in Canada. That when you go to reclaimgirmit.ca, you'll see this page. You'll be able to see a button here. It says watch trailer, so you can watch the film trailer. Contact us. It's very important to put your information in there because we're soon to announce the exact date and the theater. We're going to be seeing this in a full theatrical sound, big screen, 5.1 surround, hundreds of seats. If you scroll down, you'll also see the press release. So we've put on here, you can see the picture and the actual press release that went out. It went out widely across our nation in May 8th, and you can download it by clicking on this button here where it says download media release. And then finally, I mentioned I was reading throughout the broadcast, Rajendra and Shyam, some of the praise that's come in. So you can actually scroll through and see all the comments. There's the Deputy PM Fiji. This one is interesting because we actually have our former mayor of British Columbia, South Surrey, Gordie Hogue. He was a member of our legislative assembly in our government. We have three-time Vancouver Mayor Mike Harcourt, and he was previously our Premier of British Columbia. I've given this story to them, and they're looking forward to being at the film. And many, many other people from our diaspora, including Rizwan Abbas, who is helping me. I wanted to just also mention AJ Chabra. You can see on the screen AJ's name. AJ is the CEO and artistic director of Nootka in London. He's actually my cousin. We have the same great-grandfather. And so he's working over there and interested in helping you bring the film or do some things in that nation. So let me just remove that off the screen there as we come back. So Rajendra, I hope you're happy with some of the things that we are doing to try and get the word out. My understanding is that this year it's all about doing the private screening events. So everybody, October this year, will be doing the first Canadian premiere right here in British Columbia. And you've done other countries as well. I believe next year you're looking at going into TV and mainstream. I know Shyam can't comment right now because of his sound, but Rajendra, is that kind of the plan?
That's true. Yeah, it is going through this the international film festivals, and thereafter we will try to make it a decision onto what course it takes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And everyone, I'm a film producer too. I have a screenplay about a book that I'd written years ago. I learned about the industry, so if you don't mind me saying, Rajendra, on behalf of Shyam, that it's really important, everyone, that you connect to me or others to be able to see the film. In this year, screenings are important because then people can get comment about the film. Also, the film festivals are submitting it to nominations, awards. When the film producers take a film like this into the mainstream and they approach distributors, they have a better story to tell if they have people who have seen it and if they have done things like to enter the film festivals. So for all the support out there this year, I want to say thank you. please reach out, everyone, and we can continue to help this film see the light of day. Now I'm going to move to wrapping up the broadcast here, Rajendra. You and Shyam have given us a lot of your time. I really appreciate it. I'd like to honor you both with an award. Rajendra, do you enjoy getting rewards? Say yes.
I never expected it. I haven't.
Okay.
I have,
Well,
when I set on this journey, that was not
Okay.
a consideration.
Okay.
But anything along the way,
Okay.
worthy of, yeah.
So I'm going to hopefully show you something here. Here's my other camera in my studio. I'm waving at you. So Shyam, you're going to get one of these too. And I know I'm really sorry your sound isn't working. But this is what's called a challenge coin. Have you heard of challenge coins, Rajendra?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, so it comes in a little sleeve like this. I'll be honoring both of you this in person, hopefully to see you. The challenge coin was created, I'll just show you this piece of paper, was created in World War I era. The practice of carrying a coin like this was for the members of the Army Special Forces. They would commit to each other by carrying something of value. And so they challenge each other. And today, if you're not carrying your coin, well, maybe you bought a drink or dinner for the other person. So they still have fun with it. These coins are seen around the world. First responders, emergency services, police, many organizations have it. Rajendra, my father was in Alcoholics Anonymous for 22 years of his life. He was an addicted man. And this is part of the generational trauma I experienced too. And the Alcoholics Anonymous have their annual conference here in Vancouver coming up in July. People around the world will come. They have their own version of a coin. So let me show you the front of the coin. It is hand-painted and crafted. It's a beautiful coin. The front is the image of the Quiet Warrior show. And then the back is the journey, the hero's journey, which is the story journey that we take when you tell your story and you help other people. So congratulations to you, and Shyam, you're one of a few people around the world who now will have this honor. So thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Let me just remove my other camera here, and then we're going to move to wrapping this up. So everyone, we've covered a lot today. We're honored to have Rajendra G. Prasad, Shyam Upadhyay, the film director, Tashu Films, about Girmit, Fields of Sadness. So you'll be able to go back and watch all this again. We'll be editing it because we had a bit of sound issue, but that's not a problem. We've showed you the website to go to find all the information about the Canadian premiere. Very important you put your information in there so we can get a hold of you and make sure you get a seat. The seats will sell out. And finally, we've honored both Shyam and Rajendra with a small token of appreciation, the Quiet Warrior show coin. And so I'm going to give it to you for the last word, Rajendra. Anything you want to say that you haven't said to the people who may see this?
I think two important thing is that I leave behind a powerful legacy, and I now bestow it to the people and the future generations to carry that legacy forward, so that it is shared by successive generations, so that they know the foundational history, and they always honor the pioneer generation, the Girmitiyas, the soldiers of peace and warriors of toil.
That is just beautifully said. Thank you so much. We are honored. And Shyam, I know that you can't speak because you're on mute. If you happen to unmute, we'll let you have last word. I'm just going to give it a minute if you can hear me. I'm not sure if you can unmute and speak. You can. Okay. So I will just say thank you to you, Shyamji, for making this possible. I wish you luck in Fiji with the screenings, and we'll be in touch. Rajendra, stay on. I'm going to play the exit music, and then we're going to just say goodbye. So just stay on for another minute or two, okay? Both of you don't go away. So everybody, find that true passion and purpose like you hear from Rajendra and Shyam, and find the life you deserve and desire, particularly by learning about your ancestral heritage. And we'll see you all again on the Quiet Warrior Show. We're booked in the studio for the next 4 months every week. People around the world are coming to tell their incredible stories because of you. That's why we do this. So thanks very much.
Thank you for listening to the Quiet Warrior Show. Create is a motive-based leadership development firm. www.kreat.ca.
Okay, I'm going to take us offline. We're still live. There's still people watching, so let me just end the stream.